Now, if you've been following this tournament since round one, or you were actually at the tournament, this is probably the round that you were looking for. Now, I was up against an opponent known as Troy Kavanaugh. Now, as you can see, he won his first 5 games. In fact, in this whole tournament, he went 6 wins and 1 loss. Now, that 1 loss was by me, and I'm going to show you how I did it. But before that, I would just like to say that Troy, he is a legend in Minnesota. Like this guy, I think he used to be like 2260. Um, Back in like middle school, he absolute beast. And frankly, I probably got lucky. Like I got to rematch him again tomorrow. I think at like 6 p.m. tomorrow night. I got to face him with the Black Pieces again for nationals. So wish me luck. But here's how I did it the first time. So he started out with pawn to e4. And now, funnily enough, I actually did know what he was playing before the game. Like I heard that he plays the open Sicilian, so I'd check some of my Taimanov lines, and I was feeling pretty good. So I respond with the Sicilian, c5, knight f3, and e6. This is known as the Taimanov. It can also turn to the Khan, but it's usually known as like the French Sicilian. And after my opponent plays the open Sicilian by opening up the board, there's a lot of other responses, like you can go c3, g3. I mean, you can go d3, but that's the same as the g3 system. There's some other move orders, but generally, or you can just like go here and delay the d4 push. But he plays the main line, so takes, and knight here. So immediately challenges the knight, and he plays c4. So this is known as the Maroczy bind structure, and the Maroczy bind can be set up against numerous Sicilians, and you pretty much go e4, c4, and you create a complete bind on this square and on the light squares. It's really hard to play against with the black pieces unless it's the Taimanov against a different Sicilian known as the Dragon, which would go like this. I mean, this is not the most correct move order, but then the Maroczy bind can be set up here, and it is a lot different because we are not pushing these pawns. We're not immediately breaking. We have to go here, here, here to challenge the center. So this is actually pretty preferable for us. So I go knight f6, although you still do need to be accurate as black, definitely. Pressuring the pawn. He develops bishop b4, that's all main stuff. I'm attacking the pawn again. Takes, super normal. And now here there is a deviation where he can push, but I just don't believe it is very accurate because I can just go, well, no, not that just blunders the knight. My apologies, but I can just go here. Put a lot of pressure on the pin knight and kind of just mess up his pawns. So he goes bishop d3, which defends this. I play e5. Kind of seems weird, I know, like going e6 and then e5, but now he actually is threatening to push since I no longer have knight d4. And so this is just kind of a patient, like I wait, and then I play e5 at the right moment when it's opportune. And this pawn, I do not want to push because that would give big weaknesses. This is a pretty nice way to play. And here I was expecting him to castle, which was my prep, but then he went bishop e3. I don't think this is like very different from castling right away. I don't really know the subtleties here, but it definitely felt kind of odd that he was waiting to castle. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to castle here. I'm going to try not to think too much. And I'm on my prep here, but I'm still going pretty fast because I'm playing the position. Then I knew my idea was to go d6, put a bishop here, usually like push this pawn and kind of just play like a slow, solid game. And it's usually really equal. So then he went rook c1. And yeah, and I was definitely like the computer shows it as an inaccuracy. I'm gonna actually turn off the move classification. But computer shows this as an inaccuracy, which I wouldn't say that I noticed in the game, but it definitely just felt odd. It definitely just felt odd that he was waiting to castle. So rook c1, I wasn't expecting that, and honestly, I think that yeah, that he just wants to take back with the rook. But I wasn't really planning on taking here unless he goes a3, then I'm going to take. But I actually kind of like the positions where I can bring the bishop back and keep it alive or bring it back to e7. So I went d6 and he goes f3 and again he's not castling. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, he's not castling. He, for some reason, he's setting up the bind first. And so I'm like, I know I just played d6. So I was expecting him to be solid, but now I'm like, wait a minute. Can I just go d5? And yes, I should have probably played it right here. This probably would have been better. But that wasn't really in my prep. And then, or at least I've never really pushed it in any of the other theory lines I've looked over, any of the master games. So f3, and I figured it just made sense because I'm kind of just like pushing and putting pressure on the fact that this is still pinned. So I go d5. Um, and then the moves I was calculating here were bishop d2, bishop g5, and then obviously taking all the way, which he played in the game. So firstly, I saw that after bishop g5, that there is then d5, a3, but then I can actually go back to e7, and the knight pretty much has no good squares, and now suddenly I have a big bind on the position. My position is just fantastic. I also have a pass pawn, and then really nice space advantage. So I figured, okay, bishop g5, probably not very good. And then I looked at bishop d2, and after bishop d2, what I was going to do is I was going to play d4. He probably goes to knight a5, going back here. I don't really see his future, because even here I can go g3 to stop him from getting to this square. So then I would take, queen takes, and then as I was calculating this, I didn't really know my way forward. But I figured his knight was probably going to try to go here, or he was going to push, so I would go here, he'd push, and then maybe we'd get some sort of interesting battle on the queen side. But he actually decided to skip all of that, so he just took. Okay, takes, takes, takes. And here he sat there and he thought for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, what is he thinking about? Gonna go bishop d2, and we're all good. And then he played here. We're gonna put on the tactics sunglasses for the duration of the video because after playing this move, he is straight up inviting me to second exchange by taking this free bishop. He takes that, I take the rook. And, he may have doubted my balls as a mere, 1870 up against 2100. He might have been like, oh, surely he's not going to. Nah, I'm here to win. 93, not even the best move. But it's still winning for me. Or not winning, but it's still better. Computer says more accurate, which bishop takes, b takes, and then knight takes. I honestly can't really figure out the difference here, besides maybe it damages the pawns first. Interesting. I didn't see anything wrong with this though. I took, takes, bishop here. Oh, wait. This knight actually is a really useful defense. Okay. I just figured out why that was better. I'll explain. And here I pretty quickly played this because that's what I calculated. I get a pawn, I get an outpost he can't really remove me from, and then my rook comes in. And the other move I was looking at was either bishop a3 or bishop e6, and I think bishop e6 is probably pretty reasonable because this pawn really isn't going anywhere, and that way I can put some more pressure and get more initiative. But I figured this was fine. I get a pawn, takes, I check him here, and after he blocked with the knight, computer says this is a draw. I don't really understand how it's a draw. Like his king is kind of crazy. I got the bishop pair, and I get that I'm down in exchange, but I thought that my compensation at least put me in a better place here, but it's complicated. So it's a draw here, I guess. So I went bishop a3, pretty much the only move. I mean, frankly, he's just threatening to take my bishop, not checkmate, but with severe compensation. So I attack the knight, giving up my knight. Just tactics. He can't really defend it, so forces this line, and then he goes to g3. He actually said after the game that he was probably winning after he goes to h3 because then he'll be able to use the g file. So, but I'm not sure. So then next, my next problem to solve was okay. Got the king kind of bad. I might even be able to checkmate him or get big threats and pressure on this side of the board. But also, this is always going to be a problem. So I figured, well, how do I clear space for my king in the most aggressive way? By playing h5, looking to go g5 and then h4. Just box the king, go after the king. He brings his bishop back, which is a pretty neat defensive move too, solidifying, cutting off my rook. Obviously getting off the back rank and threatening checkmate again if I were to move. So I just went g6 and I figured we're going to go f5. Thought this was pretty reasonable. So he puts his rook here, and now I can't really move my rook because here it'll just get trapped after king here, which is kind of funny. And yeah, that's also what this move was setting up. Oh my god, yeah. This move was setting up rook c2. But I went bishop d2, which is the point of blocking the trade, and I figured, well, I can get my bishop here. Looks reasonable. So he moved his rook, and I was calculating a lot here, and I was like, okay. First, I had to make sure that there was like no possible checkmates, and then I was like, okay, is there any way for me to like go here and then here, but make it favorable, or get worthwhile pressure? And I was looking at attacks here and checks. But then eventually I found this move, bishop e1, which just makes sense. Like, the rooks see each other. It gives me time to go here, and now the king won't be able to trap my rook. I won't have to trade because I'm an exchange down, and I don't want to trade. But he moved his king here, and he lost the game. Biggest blunder of the game, where he moved his king. It's crazy. Like I think the computer says that like you have to give the exchange back, but I guess he just didn't sense the danger. He didn't sense the danger, so he moved his king, which was reasonable, but he actually missed one of the coolest little details in a position. And I had seen this after he went here, and when I was calculating, is that I saw the whole sequence that was to follow, and that's why I decided on bishop e1, because otherwise, without it, there really isn't much. So, black to play and win. Well, I don't want to trade. He was thinking, oh, he's really smart. He's going to be forced to trade here. Otherwise, otherwise all my pieces are going to get really cramped. And then we'll take back and everything's happy. But you see this little bishop on a6, remember it? Well, after I take his his rook, he sat there and he saw it. Do you see it? If he were to take back my exchange, he has an exchange up, but it's checkmate. It's crazy where this came out of, and just these bishops and this pawn, just fucking brutal. Just absolutely out of nowhere, because he must have gone too fast and didn't realize what I was threatening. My bishop just ends the game. So he has to take the bishop back, and now I win a second pawn. Now I'm just up 2 pawns, and no longer down in exchange. And suddenly from here, I was like, okay, now we just have to convert. So I'll go a bit quicker so that this recap isn't super long. He goes bishop d5, which is reasonable. It guards this pawn, puts pressure here, puts pressure here. So I now offer a rook trade. I'm up 2 pawns, and now I do want to trade rooks. I'm also guarding this pawn. He moves his rook, looking to pressure me here or check me. Well, not check me because my bishop, but at some point, and then come and pressure this and this. So what I did is I won tempo on his bishop, is I attacked his bishop, and I said, okay, well, now you have to move, and now your rook can't come here. He moves the bishop, and now I have some extra time. So what I do is I push my g5 pawn. I really like this because I figured that he can't even move here because now this is mate, because I set up this little box to prevent the king from escaping. So So I'm stopping him from going rook c7 without actually having to stop it. Like I'm tactically stopping it, which is also what I was doing earlier. So just lots of tactics in this game. Um, so I go g5. He moves his king. This no longer comes with check. So I move my king up. And oh my god, I was calculating this for the longest time, where I really, really, really wanted to make this work. And I'm like, surely there's some way, there's some combination of checks that I can get the king like here, and then I can checkmate him here if I move my king up. And I was like thinking, and I couldn't find anything, so I just kind of unpinned myself. And now if uh, the rook goes here, which is what he ended up playing later, I would then have bishop here, and pretty much I'm threatening checkmate or at least a devastating discovered attack. So he goes h4. I go g5. Computer says this is a mistake, but I kind of liked it. I was calculating a lot of things. Um, like takes, but after this, I really didn't see how I was making any progress, and I don't want to break up my pawns. I was also considering going here, but then the rook comes in, and I don't know. And then I was also even thinking to go f5, but I rejected it because um, like the king is here, and I guess I go here, but then he would have a fork, and I didn't really see a concrete way through. Um, although this is probably pretty good still. So I push g5. My idea is that if he were to take, then I can simply check him, force him to move up, and now I have 3 connected passed pawns. So he didn't take, he went here, and I now go bishop f1. Kind of fancy, kind of nice, but pretty much he can take here either way, but no matter what, I'm checking him here, and it's going to be checkmate. So he takes to not get checkmated, because in another instance, let's say here, here, and now here, and I'm sure that I can probably just even like take and go here and win material. But regardless, he now takes. I check, check, king moves here, and I guard my pawn now. I don't really care about this pawn because I'm promoting first. I stop his passed pawn, and I don't really care about this pawn either. So he pushes, I push, he takes with the bishop, kind of creative little bishop sack. Point is that after takes, he has h6. And if I take, he takes my rook, but even then I still promote, which is kind of funny. And here I was starting to get tons of nerves. Like there were a bunch of people watching me. I knew I was going to win, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm doing it. At board 1, I'm about to beat the #1 guy. And so he went here, I step up, and he resigned. And yeah, he can't promote in time. This was crazy for me. I don't think I've ever been on board 1 in an open tournament, let alone like against the #1 guy. And so having this opportunity to play such a good player, and then especially being able to, he just underestimated me, or honestly, who really knows? But I was very happy. I was very pleased with the win. I'd taken sole lead pretty much of 5.5 out of 6. And going into the final game, I needed to draw and I'd win. I win state. A winner or a draw won me state. And I guess we'll just have to find out later today how that